yeah, that first day I was like, "Oh," because I was, in character drinking tequila from a bottle in Times Square and smoking and getting like really weird looks from from mums with their small kids trying like pulling them away from me. And I was like, oh my God, this is so strange.
Well, I'm Russ Milheim from The Direct. Thank you for talking to me today about the movie.
Thanks for talking to me.
Of course. One thing about this film is like there's a level of authenticity to it that is really intriguing. And I was reading how you guys, filmed it and how you would even get into brief scuffles with like, police while filming on location. Like stealing and drinking tequila bottles in the open. It sounds crazy. What was that like? And how many confrontations did you guys end up getting into?
Yeah, it's funny. That was our first day of shooting, I think. And, um, our director, Neil, said, I just want you to stay in character for as much as you can. Because anytime we have interactions with real people, we might be able to, they might work in the movie. So just keep staying in character. We'll see what we can get. And yeah, that first day I was like, oh shit, because I was, in character drinking tequila from a bottle in Times Square and smoking and getting like really weird looks from from mums with their small kids trying like pulling them away from me. And I was like, oh my God, this is so strange. And then yeah, was basically very nearly arrested on our first day of shooting, which was, there was a safety in being in New York and knowing that Cairo and India and Seoul was all to come. It was, yeah. Luckily, that was as close as it got to you know anything bad really happening.
I was gonna also ask, like, how often do you worry about things going sideways while, maintaining that in character no matter what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, all the time, from stealing the sunglasses in the airport to being on real planes and air hostesses telling us to stop filming and being in real airport security and, foreign countries with it was markets in India. It was like the whole thing was I put a lot of trust into our director, Neil, and thankfully nothing bad ever happened. But yeah, there were lots of hairy moments, and I hope you can feel that when you watch the film because it very much was what it felt like.
Yeah, yeah. Now, when it comes to your character, of Maya, what would you say is, the core of her, and how did you work to find it yourself to bring her to life through your performance?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with Maya is when you at the beginning, she's very much kind of she spent a lot of her time in the last year or so looking after her mother. She's very much lost a lot of her friends, lost her sense of self. And so when she's confronted by her father, who she hasn't seen in years, there's this vulnerability about her which makes her a great target for him. Um, and I think the audience is never really trusting of him, but by the end, you you really don't like him. Hopefully.
Now, I want to squeeze in a really quick, unrelated question. Audiences last saw your Bridgerton character, Daphne, nearly 3 years ago in season two, but you weren't seen in season three or the spinoff. Can fans hope to maybe see you pop up again soon in, season four or future seasons?
I mean, they've not called me yet. So, and I think they're shooting season 4 right now. So, I'm still waiting for that call.
How dare they? How dare they? I'll send a strongly worded email. Now, with this film, what do you feel was the biggest lesson you learned at the end of the day, with your time on it?
Um, I think it was like very joyful in the sense of having to stay in character and not having to wait around for setups. And, because a lot of acting is on films is just waiting around, really. And there was none of that on this. It was so go, go, go. I was never bored for 1 second. So that was the joy of it. Um, and what did I learn? That you can shoot a great movie on an iPhone, which is kind of crazy.
Well, and you guys filmed in a lot of locations, like you're mentioning New York and Cairo. What was your favorite location to shoot in?
Oh, I loved being in India. I think my favorite like being at the pyramids when no one else was there was
Okay.
incredible, and the sun was setting and it was just our crew and everywhere else was empty, and there was this real like spirituality about it. It was kind of wild.
Now, a fun question. If you were a spy yourself, what do you think would be the hardest part of the job for you to pull off?
Lying. I'm not a very good liar.
That's interesting. All right. I mean, that's a
I
good
know.
answer.
I know.
Well, thank you for talking to me today about the movie. I look forward to, everyone getting to enjoy it themselves.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ross.
Well, I'm Russ Milheim from The Direct. Thank you for talking to me today about the movie.
Thank you.
Of course. Now, one thing I noticed about this movie, there's a unique layer of authenticity to it. And I was reading about how you made that a reality with how it was filmed on location and in the moment. Can you speak to some of those crazy situations kind of you and the crew went through to get that final product? Because what I was reading was kind of crazy.
Well, the whole idea for me was to shoot it. I was looking for, I wanted to see the world as it was. And often when you go in with a film crew, you disrupt the world and the world ends up looking at you. I wanted to be looking at the world and I wanted to have our characters in a situation where they were really moving through the world. So if you shoot on an iPhone, it means you can walk through a crowded Cairo market and nobody looks at you because, for all they know, it's just some friend shooting their friend with an iPhone. And there were no boom mics, there was no lighting. Um, and again, not to do it as a gimmick, but to do it as access. So what it enabled us to do, for example, was to shoot on airplanes in flight, full dialogue scenes. And we shot with a very guerrilla crew. The crew took, Phoebe's character took the real journey that her character takes. She went from New York to Cairo to Delhi to Seoul and then back to New York in that order. And we went with her and we stayed back from her and just the cameraman with her. But it was a tiny crew. And so we would be on an airplane and, we'd be stealing the shot. They'd be talking. But in order to get that, you couldn't do the sort of conventional filmmaking language of like, well, it's a wide shot and then it's a over the shoulder shot and a close up. So we developed this sort of caught live kind of feel to it where we were, this had sort of a you are there quality to it. And so that became the aesthetic of the movie throughout.
I wanted to, and I talked to Phoebe about this, but there was a moment where she like nearly got arrested in New York City. What was, how did that go down? How many times did you almost
Probably
get
not
in
the
trouble?
only time.
Yeah,
Well, I think it was our first day of shooting. And have you seen the movie?
yeah.
There's a scene in the movie, she's a self-destructive character as the movie begins. And she steals a bottle of tequila and then she's just drinking on the street. She's trying to obliterate herself because she's got these problems. And so we have her drinking. She's not drinking tequila, but she's drinking on the street with a bottle, and people were walking by, like pulling their children away from her. And, because she looked like a dangerous, really troubled character. And the way we shot it again was she's on the street. There's a cameraman. It's kind of all dressed in black. It just kind of fades away. And he's filming her with the phone, but he's a little bit of a distance away. And then I'm farther away with an iPad watching the feed. And then everybody else, there's nobody else around. And then I'm looking at my iPad, and suddenly on my iPad, I see the three biggest New York policemen I've ever seen suddenly are like converging on her. And I'd always told her, whatever happens, stay in character. That was the whole sort of ethos of the movie. And even though it's a tightly scripted movie, it's still you're out in the world and if somebody bumps into you or wants to talk to you. Anyway, stay in the movie. And so she, God bless her, did. They were like, what are you doing? She's like, what does it look like I'm doing? I'm drinking tequila. And they're like, why are you drinking tequila? And she's like, because I like tequila. Do you want some? And they're like, no, you don't want some. And they're like, give me that bottle. And she was like, I'm not finished with it. She just stayed in it. And then at a certain point, I had to step in, and I was like, we're making a movie. And because they were like right on the verge of arresting her. And I let it go as far as I could. I said, we're making a movie. She's an actress. And they were like, well, why didn't she just say so? And I said, she's staying in character. And they were like, God. And they literally gave us back the bottle of tequila, or the fake bottle of tequila, which is right over there, actually. And there were multiple times like that where she'd be walking down the street and people would talk to her or want to know something, or she would, be in the Cairo market and somebody trying to sell her something or whatever.